Caster.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. 8:52, and we are now crossing over to Palestine to talk with Abeer Zayyad, who is on hold to talk to us about the tragedy that took place yesterday at Al-Quds. And we do hear that a 42-year-old Palestinian, Fadi Abu, a resident of Shuafat refugee camp in Jerusalem, was shot and killed by troops. Abeer, salamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Sad news indeed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome to the show.
Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Fadi Abu Shfedem, was doing his PhD in Islamic science. He's 42 years old. He was in jail before. Yesterday, he have a gun and shoot some Israel soldiers very close to Al-Aqsa Mosque inside the old city, and they shoot him back and he was killed. After that, they attacked his family, especially his daughters and his sisters, and they arrested his daughter, which is 50 years old, and also they arrested his son, 8 years old. Of course, since yesterday, the action is continuous in Shafat camp of attacking the people there. Also in Al-Isawiyya village in Jerusalem, also they killed before 2 days a youth, 16 years old, and since that time a lot of accident and attacking from Israel police to the people inside Al-Isawiyya. Also Silwan, which is just north of Al-Aqsa Mosque, also was attacked in the last few days, and also yesterday from Israel police. The whole city was attacked by the settlers yesterday at night, and they tried to enter to the houses to kill the people inside the houses, the civilian people, as revenge for the Israel police. This is part from what is going on. It's a hard time. Israel are putting a lot of pressure on Jerusalem people by attacking the Aqsa Mosque every day, by demolishing the houses of the people, by arresting. They make no choices for the people, no hope, no way of living inside Jerusalem. It's a complete apartheid system, and this apartheid system is with this pressure, we will see more accidents if this apartheid and this pressure continue on the people.
Abeer, does that mean that the Israeli authorities are tightening up access to the mosque, to Al-Quds, and preventing Palestinians and other Muslims from going to perform their prayers there?
Of course, all the time, it's not not allowed for any people from West Bank or Gaza to arrive to Jerusalem. And even if they arrive to Jerusalem, it will be more difficult to enter to inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And some of us, as Jerusalem people who live next to Al-Aqsa Mosque, some of us are abandoning from entering the mosque. Some of us are abandoning for a year. Some are for years now from entering to Al-Aqsa Mosque. In the same time, it's allowed for any Jewish to enter, even the Jewish like Bilgan who shoot people inside Al-Aqsa Mosque before, it's allowed for him to enter to Al-Aqsa Mosque and not allowed for the Muslims to enter. Yesterday, what they call themselves, the reserver of the temple, they put flyers and statements that the only way to stop violence in their point of view is to control completely on Al-Aqsa Mosque and to exchange it to become the temple. And some of them had already put the flyer to ask for engineers or architectures, in fact, to demolish the Dome of the Rock and the other building inside Al-Aqsa Mosque ask them how this demolition will be very quickly, and they are requiring for employing architecture for doing this job. So the situation is very danger on Al-Aqsa Mosque, and all the pressure that they are putting, it will cause more problem. Not as what they say that it will have a peace or quiet. No, at all. If there is more
Okay.
pressure and more attacks inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque, it will be more violent, more problems. People will not shut up when you are killing them, taking their houses, demolishing their homes. People does not have
Okay,
anything to lose.
Abeer, let me bring in another guest here, Nazim Adam from the Palestinian Solidarity Authority here in South Africa, Alliance rather. Let's look at this issue from another viewpoint. Nazim, salaam alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Western media is obviously fighting the South African that has settled in the occupied territories as a hero, and obviously suggesting that he was working as a tour guide in that part of the world, trying to almost muffle the fact that he joined the IDF in 2018. So, and of course, they are also portraying the victims, the Palestinian victims, as terrorists. And I say terrorists in inverted commas. What's your take on the story?
Firstly, I'm not from the Palestine Solidarity Authority, Palestine Solidarity Alliance, the PSA.
I did correct that. You didn't hear it.
Yeah,
Maaf, yes, Alliance.
Okay. All right. So obviously, we are dealing with a situation of resistance to settler colonialism, very much like we experienced in apartheid South Africa. I mean, hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So the reality is that we have a white South African with all the privileges in terms of being a white South African, even in the post-apartheid South Africa, enjoying all the benefits of this country as one would imagine, and then going off to enjoy the privileges of a Jewish privileged person under apartheid Israel. There is no doubt that he was an active military operative in the area. You just have to look at his Facebook pictures and all of it. He's always in an IDF uniform, so his whole life was being generated to go there to ensure and embolden the apartheid state and defend it against its indigenous people, the Palestinian people who are dispersed, who live in refugee camps, who suffer detention without trial, and who have no other option but to resist the occupation by any means necessary. We accepted this in South Africa with many of our friends and comrades having been part of Umkhonto weSizwe as the military wing of the ANC and others part of APLA. These were resistance movements that embarked on armed struggle. We also know that Nelson Mandela was in prison because of his role in armed struggle. So armed struggle against settler colonialism is very legitimate. And he is just one pawn of the Israeli military machinery to destroy and to the Palestinian homes in Jerusalem so that they can make way for Jewish settlers from all over, like himself, to take over those spaces. It's totally unacceptable. Then there is the second part to this, and that is that South Africa has a foreign military Mercenary Assistance Act, and it makes it totally illegal for any South African to partaking in this. And we have exposed this as the PSA in the Gaza docket some years ago, and we repeatedly raised this issue that South Africa must start enacting its law. We call out the National Prosecuting Authority to act on the NPA. We've given them a number of names of people who serve in the IDF, Jewish young men and women from South Africa who go to Israel to kill Palestinians, and that must come to an end.
Well, Dirko has a lot to answer for that as well. And I've just been talking with Abeer Zayyad. She is a resident in Jerusalem. She's also an archaeologist. She has been working for many years at the mosque, the Al-Quds mosque. I'm sure you're aware of her work, aware of her. She is suggesting, Nazim, that, and it is sad, and we know that this is this is in fact happening, that young children are being killed in Palestine, in Jerusalem, all around in Palestine by the occupiers because they want to overtake the entire land. How, what do the occupiers expect? Our children are being killed. What response do they want? Are they hoping that the Palestinians will leave their land, their holy land, Palestine?
I think Israel is now finally being exposed to what it is, and it is a warmongering uh, uh, a, a state that commits crimes against humanity on a daily basis, that commits war crimes. And thanks to social media in particular, we are being able to see the devastating impact of Zionism on ordinary folk in Palestinian folk. Many of them who have been displaced numerous times into the ongoing conflict. Well, it's not even a conflict, the ongoing occupation. I mean, so 80 children killed alone this year. I mean, not just killed randomly. I mean, these are targeted killings of children. You're seeing hundreds of men, women, and children being detained under the notorious military courts in the occupied territories, and they don't have access to lawyers. They get held without trial. I mean, we have four of them who are on hunger strike just to say that, what am I being held for? Tell me, what am I being charged for? You know, this is just outrageous. And the world has been waking up and seeing this. And you saw in South Africa over the last 2 weeks, the South African population who can identify with what it means to be living under apartheid are saying quite clearly, and I'm just of the South African
And despite all of that, Nazim, we still have this very sick issue here in South Africa, where there's this Miss South Africa, supposed Miss South Africa, wanting to go and represent our country in Israel on that Miss Universe stage. That is, on the one hand, you're having children being killed and she can't see the wood for the trees. I think in her situation, it's only the money, it's the greed of the money. She's never seen this type of glitz, glamour, and money in her life. So she's going to hold on for dear life. And I'm sorry that I digress here, but it's a point that needs to be made.
I think
Nazim, I lost you there.
Have you got me?
Okay, I've got you back.
I'm saying it's a little bit more than that. It's also a fact that we, as the South African government, have failed to educate and to write our own history. So many young people like Lalela have little true understanding in terms of what we experience. And it's important for us to educate people, so those who know were not duped and hoodwinked or bought into the Zionist project through their Hasbara campaigns or their very biased views in the private and Model T schools of this country. They are being able to see that wood from the tree. And that's why we have hundreds of young black African men and women standing up firmly against Lalela and saying, you've got to understand that by you going there, you are endorsing racism, you're endorsing genocide, you're endorsing settler colonialism. Don't go. That is the simple, straightforward message that every South African who has a little conscience and memory is saying to Lalela and to all those people who support Zionism. It is in today's day and age, in a post-apartheid South Africa, you shouldn't even be having a Zionist federation promoting that kind of racism and settler colonialism. And because that is against the value of our constitution, it's like having a beer all over, but that's like for these people, it doesn't work.
Nazim, we'll have to leave it there. And we do hope that Lalela gets this very strong message. If you're not going to take anything at all in what's been told to you about the occupiers, just remember this one thing, that the occupiers go out and openly murder young children, children as young as 5 and under 10 years old. That's what these murderous occupiers are doing. So have that at the top of your head before you think of supposedly representing South Africa over on that world stage. Nazim, we leave it there and inshallah talk to you again soon. Thank you indeed for your comments. Assalamu alaikum to you and keep up the great work.
Thanks. See you guys Sunday at the Walk for Freedom.
Inshallah, inshallah. 9:07 exactly. News and views right here on Salam Media.